Hi everyone, and welcome back to yet another review. And this one I think will be a review which will interest a lot of us. A lot of us that like the cheaper IEMs, and myself included. In the sense that what I will be talking about is sub $10 IEMs, which have to a certain extent become game changers, and I'll explain what I mean by that, because that's a bold statement. Okay, so roughly a year ago, KZ launched the EDX, and here's one second, let me just untangle this here. 1 second, my apologies. Oh my god. Okay, so roughly a year ago, KZ launched these babies, which were a mixed bag when they first came out. Decent enough plastic shell, 10mm driver, nothing special, with an engaging V-shape tuning, peaks at 2 and 4K, which 2K and 4.5K, which were responsible for a little bit of aggressiveness that we found when we heard this IM. But overall, and once you played around a little bit with it like I did, I put some foam tips, put a copper cable on it, it actually became pretty amazing. And when you considered that it cost only $7 at the time, or $6 at the time, there was really nothing that could touch it. Okay, that was it. So KZ EDX, kind of, let's give it the credit for being the one to have started this trend. Then, not to be outdone, TRN came out with its proposal of a cheap sub $10 IM, and they came out with the MT1. Again, plastic shell, reasonable enough quality, 10mm driver, but this one was more if the EDX was tuned to be more fun, this was tuned more mid-bass, mid-range, so it had more mid-tuning, which gave it an extra touch in terms of quality. It was able to play more demanding music in a better way. Vocals were very nice, the vocals were very nice. It really was a very pleasant surprise, and this one, because it was a second, the second to arrive at the party, it became more attention was paid to it, and Larry Fulton, for example, even went to the trouble of proposing a slight mod to it, which I have done. I've got maybe 4 or 5 pairs of MT1s, so this one is a full stock one, and then I've done that mod on one of them to compare the difference. So he proposed a mod on it, which I did, and that mod really made the MT1 shine. So this came along. Then from the KZ group, the CA2 came out, and the CA2 was, in essence, basically an EDX. Okay, a similar driver. The EDX driver, the original one, was a goldish color, and this one is like a silver color. Okay, so the drivers are not exactly the same, and the tuning is slightly different. This has loads more bass and less upper mids high frequency. So this was a more pronounced, even V shape. Some liked it, some didn't like it. Again, a mixed bag of people that are liking it or not liking it. Bear in mind that when we're talking something like these IEMs, which are so cheap, we have to keep that in context. I mean, we cannot expect these IEMs to perform like a $100 IEM, or to perform like a $200 IEM. So sometimes I found it interesting that although yes, we can mention that the soundstage this or the imaging that and the detail retrieval this and okay, I mean I would sometimes hear some people talk about or going as far as wanting to even bring into the equation the comparison of the EDX or the MT1 or any one of these other ones here with the likes of stuff like the Oxygen and other very, very good single dynamic IEMs. And I was like, why you compare it in the context of what it is. Cheap IEM for people that want something cheap or can only afford something cheap but want something decent. And in that aspect, EDX, fun. If you want to listen to fun music and not worry about if they break or they get stolen, so EDX perfect. It plays EDM beautifully, bass beautiful. If you want something a little bit more polished, if you want something which will be able to listen to a little bit of jazz, even some classic, MT1 perfect, beautiful. You want another bass monster, CA2s, perfect, amazing. Well, these were then followed by other models from TRN, the CS1, which I don't have it yet. The CS1 is very much similar to the CA2s. There's an oldie and goldie which is liked by many people, and I myself like it, I have to admit, and I'll be talking about it in this little comparison, which is the UKZ VK4. This is, I think, a fluke as well. I think this is kind of the same thing as what happened with the Blonde. They were lucky. They just threw this thing together, tuned it, and they created a little monster. The one and only problem I see with it is quality control. You might be lucky and you have a good pair. You might be unlucky and you have a terrible pair. I've got 3 pairs, and of the 3 pairs, I was only able to put this one together as the best pair in terms of driver matching, frequency response of the 2 drivers, everything. The other 4 are completely different, and that is a pity because, like I said, you have a good pair, and these puppies rock seriously. The tonality on these things is wow, very, very good, very, very, very good. So that brings us to kind of the reason for this review, which is the EDX Pro. Okay, so box. I mean, I'm not going to go through this. This is basically the standard KZ affair. I mean, I have an EDX box here, still closed, as you can see, because I bought quite a few of them to play around with the drivers. And there's no difference. It's just the graphics which are different. And inside, basically, everything is equal tips, blah, 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 blah. So that's it. So where are the pros? Here they are. Let me just make a little bit of space here. Here are the pros. I'm obviously not using the standard cable. I am using the standard tips because they actually work out fine. And, I mean, a nice, good-looking IEM. Slightly more expensive than the original, but it's a nice IEM. The driver seems to be similar, again, to the original EDX. Let me see if I can actually have I've got a transparent EDX here. There we go. So that's the EDX. By the way, the EDX has suffered from slight variances in terms of their production batches. So the first production batch, which is these white ones here, they had a particular sound and were, in my opinion, very nice. Then the second batch is these transparent ones. So you have these transparent ones, which were actually second batch, early second batch. There we go. Let me just zoom this out. So early second batch, and then we have these smoke ones, which are late second batch. And there's differences. The early second batch I think are inferior to the first batch ones. The late second batch are again as good as the first ones. And then we have the third batch ones, which is this black one here, which this one has been modified by me to have what? To have a tantrum filter. Yes, this one has a tantrum filter. And this thing is a beast. Period. With the tantrum filter, that excessiveness that we have in the upper mids and just gets tamed. The bass is slightly less than the original first generation EDX. Okay, slightly less, but the matching, everything, it just comes together very nicely. Obviously, being black, I cannot see what the driver inside is, but I opened up, I actually bought also a set of white ones. I opened up the white ones to use the drivers, and the drivers are silver in color. So they seem to be now the same driver that we find in the CA2s. Okay, but tuned differently. And actually I've got a transparent pin, yeah. So let me just zoom this in. So CA2, there we go, you see the driver, it's a silver driver. EDX gold driver, okay. CA2 EDX, alright. And as I was saying, the latest version of the EDX, third, let's say, production batch, well, third according to me, it might be fourth even, but the third one is using this driver inside of it. And I say that because when I bought these black ones that I was showing you just now, I bought a white set as well, and the white set I opened up, and as I mentioned, it has got that silver driver inside. So these ones I modified, tantrum filter, beautiful. I mean, seriously, really, really, really nice. The sibilance is almost taken away. Vocals, everything, it's just such a nice sounding cheap IEM. I mean, it really is. If you were to listen to it without knowing what it cost, you would not say that this thing cost $7. That's my opinion. So where does the EDX Pro stand? Where does this leave us with the EDX Pro? Well, in standard format, the EDX Pro is a polished EDX in the sense that it has kind of almost the same bass quantity as the original ones, but it's just quicker. Like I said, the driver seems it's not going to be the same driver. But it has to be an improved driver. It's goldish as well, as you can see, but the driver seems quicker. It's got better texture. The vocals seem superior as well. There is again those peaks, but they seem to be somehow more controlled. Overall in standard format, the Pro is, in my opinion, superior to the standard EDX. Okay, how does the Pro compare to the modified EDX? Well, compared to the modified EDX, the modified EDX is superior. Simple. It's just superior. How does a modified Pro sound? Because this one has been modified. I've actually got two pairs, and I modified this one. There we go. Filter. There we go. Tantrum filter. How does it perform in modified format? You have to try it. Let me put it to you this way. You have to buy them, put the filter, and try them. It is fantastic. That's my word for you. The mids and the highs with the tantrum filter, they just transform this into a little beast, and it is really, really a nice IM. again, and I want to say this, and I'll say it many times, I'm keeping into context of what it is in terms of price, where it sits. So when I say it's nice compared to other stuff of this price range. I'm not saying that this thing will now go and beat an Aria. No, it won't beat an Aria. I'm not saying that this will now go and beat a T41. No, it won't beat. But it plays well. It plays really well. And to the untrained ear, people might say, oh wow, I prefer these ones because they're more fun. I mean, all of these IEMs here, their main purpose here is not sound quality and being the ultimate in detail retrieval. They are made for the masses. They are made to be fun, engaging, to put them on and you like straight away what you hear. That's why the bass is boosted. That's why the highs are boosted to a certain extent. Obviously, with the limitations of doing that in a budget manner, but that's what their purpose is to be fun and engaging. Once you spend a little bit of time and you modify them, you make that fun and engage become more polished, more classy. You bring out the full potential of what these drivers can actually do, and they become seriously nice IEMs. I mean, seriously nice. So EDX Pro modified, a must. Honestly, if you've got the EDX, the previous generation, modify it with the nozzle filter from Tanstrom, and you will not regret it. Trust me, you will not regret it. It really makes this a total different beast. If you are going to buy any of them now, go for the pros and modify them as well. They are fantastic. Seriously, they are fantastic. As I started the conversation, I've also got the MT1s here. And, funny enough, I also modified the MT1s. Here we go. These ones were also modified to have the Tanstrom filter. In terms of overall construction, the MT1s do benefit from a slightly better, they have a brass nozzle, which just gives that extra little bit of quality. Let me just zoom this in again. I've got the metal nozzle, there you go. The Tanstrom filter just sits there beautifully, while the EDX, it's just normal, nothing special there. How do these sound modified? Again, the difference between the standard MT1 and the modified filter MT1 is just day and night. Personally, I like the way that the transition from the mid bass to the mids is done more on the MT1. And although there's slightly less bass in the MT1 than there is on the EDX or the EDX Pro, I just like this presentation better. It is very nice, seriously very nice. Definitely a must as well. Modified. How does it compare to the EDX Pro? EDX Pro is better. EDX Pro is better, and it's better because it basically has very much the same mids and high frequency of the modified MT1. Okay, but it adds to that extra grunt in the low end, and it just makes for an overall slightly better or more complete IEM than the MT1. Whereas the MT1, like I said, feels more at home. Maybe playing, jazz and or you can feel that it plays that kind of genre of music very nicely. And the KZs, they're all about boom 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 and really shaking your head. The Pro is able to bring out some of the characteristics of the MT1 while maintaining that characteristic that made the EDX so good, and overall it's a better IEM than the MT1. Whether TRN will be coming out with an improved MT1 or not, I don't know. To finalize, the only IM really here that I would take, or I would have a hard time and deciding, would be the KZs. And the reason being, what just is the flaw of this is its quality control. Because the overall tuning on this is fantastic. I mean, I just cannot flaw it. So if it wasn't an issue of quality control, the VK4 would definitely be my first choice, and then the Pro, with the modified MT1s and EDX, standard EDX, in third place. As it is, and we have to take things for what is the real world and not a perfect world. EDX Pro is my choice for the cheap IM single EDs, definitely, but modify this thing and don't be afraid to give it power. Actually, all of these IMs, although they will play very well connected up to your phone, they benefit tremendously from having a dongle connected up to it. I mean, you connect a dongle to the MT1 in standard or modified format, and it's a different beast. You do the same to the EDX, it's the same thing. You give power to the Pros, and these things just come alive. They just come alive. Tremendous, honestly, really, really, really good. So yeah, that's it. There you go, guys. Looking for a nice budget IM, definitely KZ EDX Pro is my recommendation. Oops, this doesn't want to zoom in. Let me just try and see if I can. There we go. There we go. KZ EDX Pro. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.